Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thank you very much for coming out to the perfection of our imperfection. I'm Cristina Deptula, and I'm a literary publicist, and I work with a whole variety of people, and I'm very happy to have partnered with the BookFest to bring out two fabulous perspectives on this issue. We are going to be talking about health and wellness and body image. So very happy to have Heather and Waleed here. And as an introduction, I personally have had a love-hate relationship with body image changing throughout my life. I grew up with a mother who was from a generation where it was just as important to present yourself personally in terms of how you dressed and how you groomed yourself as it was to be good at your job. It was considered part of the job to get yourself ready in terms of how you did your hair and nails and your outfits. And so I grew up thinking that was just part of being human and part of doing well and excelling. But then later on, as I got older, I started to see that questioned in society where people were worried about, body image and eating disorders, body image and self-esteem, body image and health. And so I started to see that questioned. And it was really a process of taking apart assumptions. But then I also saw, people really taking an interest in health. And so it was just sort of living in that tension between, wanting to look nice, wanting to feel confident about yourself, and then wanting not to be tied to a specific image of how a body had to look in terms of ableism and racism and sexism and other issues. But then the whole thing about health and wanting to do right by the body that you had, and just to do the best that you could. And so to me, it's just a real process of learning from all different perspectives, which is what I have done from both Heather and Waleed. So I am very grateful and honored and happy to be part of this panel. And it's a real fabulous learning experience. And I hope that you enjoy it as well as the rest of the entire BookFest. So to start off, Heather, I'm going to go to you first. So, um, Heather, please let us know briefly about your personal story and how and why the topic of physical looks and beauty and wellness and body image resonates with you.
Well, I've been modeling professionally since 1988 when I was 18 years old. And one of the clients that I was working with regularly for runway and showroom and print asked me one day to get measured by their pattern making team to see if I matched up to their fit form or their mannequin, which is what the pattern makers and the designers and the merchandisers use to make a prototype to then use for mass production in a garment. And so the fit model needs to stay plus or minus a quarter of an inch to the fit form or the mannequin that they work with. And the measuring process involves points of measurement all over your body, vertically and horizontally, from your neck circumference to your ankle. And as I said, it has to match up. All of your body measurements have to match up plus or minus a quarter of an inch to the fit form. And I matched up. So I signed my first contract in 1996, which lasted for 10 consecutive years, from my mid-20s to my mid-30s. And then I retired to become a mom. And then I randomly got a call out of the blue in 2016 when I was 46 to see if I was still the same measurements. And I was, but I wasn't at those measurements because I was trying to stay a size, but because I was doing all the nutrition and the wellness habits that I had developed back when I was modeling in my 20s, which enabled me to stay at my natural size effortlessly without even thinking about it, because that's where I felt good and I had the most energy. So I went back to fit model at 46 at the exact same measurements as I was in my 20s. And sharing how I do that is how my book, Paid to Be Perfect, The Secret to Finding Your Perfect, got started.
Okay, wonderful. That sounds fabulous. And you're welcome to hold up your book if you like. And so, Waleed, the same question for you. Let us know a little bit about your personal story and how and why physical looks, beauty, and wellness and body image resonates with you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Heather. I'm just realizing how opposite the perspectives are going to be. So this is going to be a cool, interesting conversation. So yeah, I'm a photographer, and that's sort of my bread and butter. And I shoot a lot of whatever shiny things that I need to market to you to make you spend your money unnecessarily. And part of that is the fashion and beauty industry, the makeup, the clothes, and everything. And going through that industry, it slowly made me realize how the messaging that industry gives you is always like, this is what you need to feel better. This is what you need to climb up societal ladder, for example. And it kind of made me a little bit sick, if I'm honest with you. I still do it from time to time, and I sort of do I sort of choose my clients almost these days. But at the time where I was still growing, I took whatever I can take. So having gone through that journey, I realized that the media industry and the beauty industry and the fashion industry has this sort of detrimental effect on not just women but everybody's self-esteem and body image. That leads to things like eating disorders and mental health issues, and it also leads parents, I would say, parents to try to get their children to fit into society more and more by getting their size right and fitting into the right clothes or buying the right things over having their actual physical and mental well-being be the main thing rather than society. So that's where that book that I wrote came about. It's called Rock Your Ugly: A Middle Finger to Toxic Beauty Standards.
Oh, okay. So that is definitely an interesting perspective. I'm looking to see what the two of you both bring to this discussion. So Heather, to go to you, how would you say that your book and your journey, that you are bringing something different to the table than other fashion, beauty, and wellness influencers?
Well, as far as my perspective being different from Waleed, it is maybe, but it isn't in another way, because this book is not about being a specific size. It's about my size for perspective, but it's not about trying to fit into my size. It's about finding your perfect. It's about the reader finding their perfect and using my stories kind of as a base. And my size is what it is. I would never have had the career that I had if I tried to fit into a size that wasn't my size. There's no way I would have had any longevity in this career if I was trying to mold myself into a size. So my size is my natural size. I talk a lot about that in my book. But what makes my book different? I think that other books about diet and nutrition, in my opinion, my book is not about losing weight, and it's not about being skinny. And I see a lot of other diet and nutrition books, about losing weight specifically. And that's not what my book is at all. It's about maintaining consistency of your natural size while thoroughly enjoying what's on your plate. And it's about finding that place in your body that feels just right, where you have the most energy and you have an overall feeling of well-being rather than struggling to reach an arbitrary number on a scale. And it's about having an appreciation for where you are, as well as I think it provides a roadmap to kind of help you get to wherever you'd like to be. Like I said, from using my stories as a base. And also, unlike other books about nutrition or wellness, my book is not just about one or the other. It's an all-encompassing approach to wellness, because it's also about moving your body in a healthy way that feels good for you, and creating mindful habits that help you to navigate through your days while finding your own path to your individual perfect. And one more thing I like about what I share that I think is different is that the way I approach nutrition requires no willpower, because you eat what you want when you want, once you learn what works for your body by giving it the foods that basically give you the most innate pleasure.
Okay, that's a good thing. I really appreciate the whole thing on finding out what works for your individual body. That health would look different for different people. Having watched people go through, loved ones go through medical conditions, there's advice that might work for 80% of the population, but if it doesn't work for you and your particular body, sometimes you just got to go with what works for you. So That's a very good thing, that, that focus. So, Waleed, the same question to you. How would you say that what you have to offer is different or unique from other influencers in the beauty and self-esteem space?
First of all, Heather, I got to read your book. If I can eat what I want whenever I want, sign me up for that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get me a copy. Yeah. I'm gonna get me a copy and dig
I
in.
want to
You know,
copy yours as well.
yeah, I went through. So I want to answer your question in a second, Christina. But I went through a sort of a body weight issue myself, and I read the obesity code. If you're familiar with
No,
that
I've not
book,
read it.
and that helped.
Heard of it, but not
Yeah,
read it.
it's pretty good. Like, it helped me out, drop my weight and everything. But it wasn't the eat what you want, whatever you want. So, I did the thing that it told me to do. It worked, and then it's sort of it's sort of this slowly bouncing back. So I got to try something else. So we'll talk to Heather.
Yes.
Christina, how is my book different and unique? I would say a lot of most things I've read, or most movies you watch, or most whatever information you consume. There's always like a point to it, like an ending. Either it's a happy ending or a sad ending, or the person who created this material had something in mind that they wanted to tell you, and that's their perspective, right? With Rocky or Ugly, with the book I wrote, it's not I had no agenda. I had no point that I wanted to drive home. I wanted to explore. So when you read the book, it's just this snapshot in time of all these people's stories, regardless of if it's if they're going through something currently, if they went through it in the past, if they're over it, if it's a happy ending, it's a sad ending. It doesn't matter. It's a collection of stories, a snapshot in time of what everybody's going through. And the point that I wanted to I mean, I didn't start off like that, but the point that I got out of it was that whatever you're going through at this very moment, somebody else is going through the same thing, and you're not alone. And you can the advice is to seek help. Go talk to somebody, professionally, or your friends or something, but seek help, because we all have our stories, and we all are going through something, or have gone through something in the past. And it's 2022. There's a lot of resources out there for you to get help with, even if you can't afford therapy, if you can't physically go to therapy. There's apps online you can use to seek help. So I think that's it. It's not there was no agenda when I was writing it. It was just a snapshot in time to tell you that whatever you're going through, somebody else is going through it.
Yeah, I think that is a very good point. Certainly with 6 billion people on the planet, I can't believe that anybody is the only one going through anything. And I also think that it's important to meet people where they are. I am completely 1,000% for self-acceptance and, welcoming all different types of body types, when opening up beauty standards and accepting people as they are. But I also think that people shouldn't shame each other or shame ourselves for being concerned about how we look. I think to some degree, some of it, I mean, not everybody, but for a lot of people, I think it's just part of human nature. You're going to wonder how you look and how you're presenting yourself, and, how we look is the first thing we see about each other. So while I completely agree that you know, it's superficial to judge people just on that, and we should get beyond that, and I hope that we do. I think it's only natural to wonder what people are seeing when they are looking at you, and to wonder how you look in the mirror. So I think, on the other hand, I don't think we should shame people as shallow when people think of that. I think to some degree it's just only human nature, and we should acknowledge that people have those feelings and meet them where they are without shame or judgment for that either. And then start from there to work on health and wellness and self-esteem and whatever else, but just acknowledge that wondering about how you look is part of part of the human experience for a lot of people. And so just to meet people where they are and not shame them for that fear, or those concerns. So that leads into my next question for both of you. For Heather first, which is, how do you balance accepting yourself as you are and having self-esteem with taking positive steps towards improving your health?
Yeah, well, I talk a lot about the word perfect in my book, Paid to Be Perfect, because it's in the title. And it's a tricky word because, none of us are perfect. And we therefore shouldn't beat ourselves up for being, less than perfect, because there is no, true perfect. And not only that, but perfect is relative, to one person. This is perfect to another person. This is perfect to one person. This is beautiful to another person. This is beautiful, Yet at the same time, even though none of us are perfect, innately, we are all perfect at our core simply because we exist. So to me, the word perfect is a balance. It's a balance of doing the things that your body needs to thrive, and a balance of doing the other special things like getting out of your routine and giving yourself treats. And it's also a balance of being open to learning and growing and changing and tweaking your routine, or any other form of self-improvement that feels good to you at the moment. But at the same time, accepting yourself exactly as you are, like right here, right now, on this snapshot or this screenshot of your journey through life. So, coming from my industry, the modeling industry, being a professional model for so many years, I've learned pretty on from going out on castings that you're oftentimes told you're to this or you're to that, and every time it's different. So sometimes you have the look that they want to hire, and sometimes you just simply don't. And that doesn't mean you're any less than perfect. You just, you sometimes do and you sometimes don't. So every hair color, every skin color, size, every height, every shape are preferred over another at one point. So you basically have two choices. You can either accept yourself as you are, or you can live your life feeling miserable or less than at the very least. So it's really your choice, to go through life wanting what other people have, or you can develop an acceptance and appreciation for what you have. And then you can make the choices that reflect that appreciation, for the most part, make healthy choices, while at the same time giving yourself grace for any of the less than healthy choices that we all make at one point or another. And that's just, it's an individual choice that everyone has to make. We all have the free will, and it's your decision. How do you want to live your days? Do you want to be, feeling good about yourself, or do you not? You have what you have, and that's what you've, been blessed with. And that's a good thing, wherever you land.
Yeah, I certainly think that's a good thing to start from a place of self-acceptance. Because I am proud of who I am, because I like who I am going to reflect the best version of myself. So it's not you trying to be somebody you're not and beating yourself up for somebody you're never going to be, or something that's impossible to attain. Because, when I was growing up, they were starting to have the whole discussion about Barbie dolls and how girls and women were going to grow up trying to look like Barbies. And honestly, my brother and I we played with Barbies, but we didn't try to look like them. We didn't really register them as human. We used to pretend that we were explorers on other planets. And so dolls were the aliens on the various planets, and Barbies came from planet Barbie, and we were going to visit them. So it never really occurred to me that I would try to model myself after any of the dolls, including the Barbies. So it's kind of humorous to me, but then I can kind of see, where some of that is coming from, and, and the discussion there. So, Waleed, how do you deal with that balance between wanting to take care of yourself versus wanting to accept yourself as you are?
It's wanting to accept myself as I am is always a wave. It's like this. It's up and down and up and down, and I try to be healthy. I try to work out a little bit. If I'm on the heavy side, I'll try to cut down on the ice creams and the chocolates and stuff like that. I think that's sort of a normal thing to do, but my bigger process is how to get both myself and the people around me, and the people that are looking at my work to also feel better about themselves and feel that whatever they're going through, or whatever body size they are or shape, that's also normal. That's a normal human being's shape, and it's attractive to some as well. It doesn't have to be the Victoria's Secret model body shape. So I try my best to pick projects, or even in my personal projects, pick models or subjects that have a variety of body shapes, and show those differences in body shapes as well. So when you put that out, when you see something in the media, if it's nice and polished and has a tagline and feels like it's something important, you're directly prone to think that this is approved, or this is the new thing, or the cool thing, or the trend, right? So with my work, I try to make the normal, regular body shape sort of elevated and more important than than your typical skinny, perfect model shape, and that's how I kind of play with it.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's good, just to show real live human beings. Because I think, being healthy. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, I kind of wanted to interject there because I think what Waleed's saying is really important. But being, in my 50s, and like I said, I started modeling when I was 18. I've seen body shapes change shape and size over the years. In the beginning when I started modeling, it was Kate Moss was the aspiration, and now it's more of a Kardashian type of body type. Everybody wants to be this, super curvy. Before that, before my time, it was Marilyn Monroe. So body shapes, it's all subjective, and so that's why trying to fit into like some sort of shape or size that you think you're supposed to be, I'll never be a curvy Kardashian. Like I'm not, that's not what my body type is. So it's really just, knowing that you have what you have, and working with whatever you have, rather than trying to be like everybody that's in your social media feed. I think that's so important. So I really love what you put out there, Waleed. I think that's super important.
Yes, me too. I was actually just going to say the same thing, that,
Mhm.
clothing styles come and go, in certain types of fashion, and then when something goes out, sometimes it comes back. When it's vintage, it comes back, ironically. And so body types are the same thing, all different sorts of people, it takes all kinds to make up this world. And, somewhere, every single type of body type, somewhere in the world at some point in history, I'm sure every single body type had its day to be fashionable. So everybody, yeah, everybody has their own place where they fit in the world. So, what are some easy first steps busy people can do to start taking better care of themselves in terms of health? Not just looks, but in terms of how healthy we are, and how, from the inside. So Heather, I go to you first.
Yeah, I think the first thing you can do is just to simply make a decision. How do you want to feel? You can feel, tired and sluggish and grumpy, or do you want to feel, satiated and well nourished and, energetic? Just make a decision, first of all, of how you want to feel. And then number two, I would say just get really specific about those steps that you need to take towards how you want to feel. So I want to feel this way, and this is what will get me there. These steps will get me there. And then three, I would say do as many of those steps as possible every day. So in other words, you want to create healthy habits. And then four, I would say that, remember that you can break those habits, and you will. And so will I. Everybody will break their healthy habits at one time or another. And remember that even though you're breaking those habits, you are still perfect. That's all a part of the process. So, and then five, I would say ongoing education and an open mindset. I wrote this book, and nutrition, fitness, wellness, skincare, those are things I'm very passionate about. And I've shared a lot of what I've learned over the years. But I'm always learning, and everybody's always learning, and your body's always changing throughout the years as you age. So just remembering to be open-minded about your process, and open to changing anything that doesn't work, and continuing the conversation. I'm doing a newsletter on my website at paidtobeperfect.com, specifically for that, to continue the conversation around the articles that I love, that I want to share, that I'm learning about, as I continue on to learn myself.
Oh, well, that is wonderful. And that whole thing of just starting small and giving yourself grace along the way, and then thinking about how you want to feel in terms of energy. So, yeah, that is a good thing. So, Waleed, how would you say to that? What are simple steps towards, feeling better on the inside health-wise.
Yeah, I really like what Heather said, and about creating habits. For me, it's more about taking control of the media you consume, right? So in the past, you had let's say cable TV. You had no control over what's playing on TV. You can there's only a few channels you can scroll through, and then depending on what the networks thought was cool at the time, that's what they're broadcasting to you. So you only had that sort of that almost the one outlet, and it was very restrictive. But now you've got a multitude of media outlets that we're always going to be bombarded with, and it's important to sort of curate what you want bombarded at you, because whether you like it or not, it is bombarded at you. So if you want to, I would say if you want to feel better about yourself in general, just go in on your Instagram or your TikTok or your whatever you're using, and unfollow all the accounts that don't make you feel good. Whatever is not making you feel good, if it's stories of I'm out of examples, but sorry, but basically, yeah, whatever is not making you feel good, just hit the unfollow and go and follow something else that's making you feel good. If you're watching some Netflix shows that are not making you feel good, switch that up as well. Go watch something else. So it's the media that's being bombarded at you always has an effect on you, and will shape your mental state, and whatever sort of feelings you pass on to your friends or your kids or whatever about society. So it's again, whatever media you're being bombarded with, choose that carefully and curate that carefully.
Yeah, that is a good thing to think about. I've actually heard people talk about our social media diet, or just our media diet, along with our food and water diet. So I think that's a good thing, because certainly if something is, something can be inspiring or it can be demotivating to you. So, and that affects your physical health too. But, it motivates you to get up and do something healthy versus, do something less healthy because you just don't even care. And I think this is a point I'm getting from both of you, that it matters where your motivation is coming from. If you're trying to be the best you and feel your best, with your body type, that's one thing. But if you are punishing yourself and feeling miserable, it's not ultimately going to work as a motivator to do anything. So that's a good thing for me to remember too. I look over different things that I read and I'm like, do I need this? Is this the best use of my time right now? That I can make choices about media consumption as well as, food and drink and exercise consumption. So it's the, similar idea. And so for me, my health habits, I am a coffee drinker, and I am starting out resolving to drink more water, with a cup of water before I have my coffee. And I also heat up my coffee, the water for it, a certain amount of time every morning. And so I'm using that time to exercise. I do jumping jacks and jog in place, and I get some regular exercise just because I have a job that involves a lot of computer work. So that way I'm not sitting for so long. I'm getting myself into an up and about exercise routine and getting myself to drink water. And I'm also living in a space where we have a nature trail behind our place, and I work from home several days a week. And so I have a housemate, and it's a way that we can talk. We get out and we walk up and down the nature trail and look at the pond. So I'm getting myself to exercise and to drink water and to get out in nature. And even if it's just 10 minutes, it's a little bit of something every day. So it's just getting myself into that habit and finding a natural space to work it into my routine. So
that's a good point there you made. These little tricks that you build into your day are important. I'll tell you one little trick I did. I recently moved houses, and there's a basketball court right across my house. So to get myself to go and play basketball, I went and bought me some new basketball shoes, and I just want to go play basketball because I want to wear my new shoes. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
So it's all these little tricks,
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I buy new yoga clothes sometimes just to, it gets me motivated to go to another class because I just want to wear the outfit. Yeah.
And another thing for me is to get colorful, plump looking fruit that's in season, because I think a lot of people eat when they're hungry, or if you can plan when you're planning a meal, you'll have a balanced meal to put on the table. But I think if you're just snacking, a lot of people just grab random foods and snack. So I think it's only natural to want a colorful and, good tasting snack. But I find, get fruit and vegetables. So you don't have to eat bread and water or celery and water when you're snacking, but just, what about raspberries or strawberries or blueberries or, veggie chips and hummus or something like that. Something that's fun to eat, but also, on the healthier side. So I think it's a good, find a way to have fun with a healthy lifestyle. Find something you like, find your thing. So here's a
I'm gonna
question
pray
for
that
both of you.
when I read Heather's book, I'm gonna pray that I'm allowed to eat brownies all the time. This is my one thing.
Brownies all the time. Well,
Yeah.
you can eat whatever you want whenever you want. Truly, if you follow the steps in my book. However, that's not Skittles every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's not brownies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Even though I love brownies and I eat brownies, it's about eating the clean, whole foods that satiate your body, that nourish your body on a regular basis, so that when you eat those treats, you love them so much and they taste so good. I don't restrict anything from my diet. Oh, I don't eat meat just simply because I don't like meat. But you can eat whatever you want. As long as you're eating a whole food, plant-based diet. That's really the cornerstone of nutrition and what I advocate for in my book. But yeah, you can really eat whatever you want, whenever you want. If you're nourishing your body's well nourished and well satiated, and then you can certainly have your treats for sure. But not every, you can't even eat kale for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Kale is a very densely nutritious food, but you have to eat a variety of foods, a variety of whole plant-based foods. It's
Yes, I think it's a matter of balance and a
Yes.
matter of spacing things out. And then just a matter of, it's not going, "Ugh, I can't have any of it," but just saying, okay, I'm going to have some of it and I'm going to have some other foods too, or I'm just going to try it. So
For sure.
I have always been a fan of buffets, which was a sad thing to see them go away because of COVID, which I understand, to see them go away because of health reasons. But then I am into sampling and trying little bits of food. I'm always curious about how things taste, but I find that as a good model, that it's kind of, I think, okay, I don't need to eat huge amounts or make this my only meal, but to say, okay, I'm going to go and try this. So that way I don't feel that I'm deprived of it. So it's just, sometimes I find I'm really more curious than anything else. So I will say, okay, I'm going to go sample this food and then I'm going to have something else. So that's a good thing. So to be able to shift the topic a little bit, I'd like to ask both of you, so in light of everything else going on in the world, why do you think what we eat, how we look, how we feel about ourselves, why is this sort of maybe more self-focused topic important?
So I'll get started. I think I talk a lot about a plant-based diet, which is what I follow. It's better for the planet to eat mainly plants. We could feed more people. We would use less agriculture, meaning less environmental damage. So it's a win-win. But also, I think with everything going on in the world, life is stressful enough. And if we junk up our bodies on a regular basis, we're just not giving ourselves the best chance to navigate through all the ups and downs and the twists and turns that will inevitably show up in all of our lives. And I just think that with nutrition and fitness and otherwise, I think that every baby step matters. Every choice is cumulative. We're all works in progress. So every moment is a new moment to make a new decision to continuously create your perfect.
Okay, Waleed.
Can you repeat the wording of that question for me again,
Oh, sure. It was just
Christina?
in light
You
of
cut up
everything
just a
else
little bit while
going
you were
on
asking
at a
it.
huge macro level on the world and, when the planet with climate change, why is, our looks, our wellness, our health, how we feel about ourselves, why is this kind of more self-focused topic important?
If I'm very honest, I don't think it has anything to do with anything that's going on in the world. It just has everything to do with you and how you feel about yourself at any point in time, whatever is going on in the world. And it's always important to feel good about yourself and be healthy in general. I I apologize. I don't really have anything more to say to that question, because I'm not really sure how feeling good about yourself has anything to do with anything else in the world, to be honest with you. It's totally about yourself, right?
I agree. I think it's an important aspect of just a healthy, well-lived life altogether. But certain wellness tips and tricks that you can have in your arsenal of things that you do every day as a part of your daily habits. I think those are important. I think creating those daily habits so that you have something to draw upon when life gets stressful or when things happen in the world. I think those are important things to have. But it really doesn't matter whether life's going great or whether life's horrible or whether something is happening in the world or something isn't. Something has always happened in the world, actually. Just to always have a solid base, a solid nutrition base, a solid wellness base, things that you can draw upon regardless, for sure.
Yeah, because I think that's a good thing. Because certainly, when we are feeling better about ourselves, when we are feeling healthier, when we have more energy, we are more able to have an impact on big issues in the outside world. And then, you think about the messages we are passing on to our children and to younger people around us. I'm turning 40 this year. And so I am in a position where I am mentoring other people, other young women coming up in their careers, or just, young people in general. I'm no longer the youngest in most of my workplaces at this point. And so I am now consciously thinking about behavior that I am modeling for others. And I'm thinking, okay, if I'm joking about, oh, I feel bad about myself, I'm going to punish myself by not eating this, or if I just really don't model any kind of health and wellness behaviors, or work-life balance, or just how to take care of myself. If I am doing something that is unsustainable, then I am putting that out into the world as a model for other people. They think, okay, if I want to grow up to be like her, then I have to do things that are unhealthy. I have to gobble down food at my desk that is, not something that I would ordinarily want to be eating, or I have to work myself to exhaustion. I have to think about the example I am setting for other people if I want to create a more humane and sustainable culture as people are watching me. So I think that it's important on that end. And, in terms of the broader world, I am also vegetarian for environmental reasons, although I don't think that you have to be vegetarian to be healthy. Again, it goes back to, your own body, doing what's best for your own body. And so for me, this kind of ties into, I also am very aware, where I grew up, not everybody has the privilege of having the same access to healthy food or to locally grown food or to fruits and vegetables, which is a pity. And so I think that once we start, eating more of, foods that are healthy and that work for our bodies, we start to be aware, that it will make us feel better, and we start to want to extend that privilege to everybody. And so I think it can motivate us, to advocate on behalf of others and on behalf of the planet and on behalf of the environment. So, I have become a whole lot more aware. I am now part of a gardening and rewilding and planting society where I am, and I am taking steps to integrate that into my life as well. So certainly I think, once we start taking small steps towards feeling good and giving ourselves grace and taking care of ourselves, then we start wanting the same thing for others. And so then we start campaigning on different levels to create a better society and a better planet.
I agree. Yeah, that's wonderful.
So do people have any final closing comments, final thoughts, things they'd like to add? And feel welcome to let us know where we can find your books and your websites, by the way.
Go for it, Heather.
Okay. Yeah. So I mentioned before that I have a website called paidtobeperfect.com. And like I said, you can subscribe to my newsletter on that website. It's going to always have, things that I'm learning, things that I want to share along the way. And I also, on my website, I have, all the references that I have throughout my book that have really, shaped the way I think and feel about the way I eat. And, my wellness gurus are on there. I have all my skincare products on my website. So I want that to be a resource for people to be able to use to, continue to refine whatever works for them, whatever makes them feel a little closer to their perfect.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. And Waleed?
Yeah, you can find me on, if you see, I guess you can see my name on there, Waleed Shah. If you hit .ae, AE for UAE, I guess. AE, that's my website. You've got you've got everything that you need there. It's got my book and my work and a whole bunch of other stuff and some art you can buy and how to get in touch with me and stuff like that. So yeah, WaleedShah.ae, and I hope we can connect on some other level as well. Whoever's watching this and reading the book, I'd love to at some point maybe connect with everybody that's connected with this book somehow later on in some metaversey looking thing that I'm planning at some point.
Well, yes, that would be wonderful. So thank you very much to Heather and to Waleed and everybody for sharing your insights and your thoughts and your personal journeys. I certainly think this would be very helpful to everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for taking part in this panel. I was very honored to meet and to work with you both.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Cristina. Heather, it's great meeting you.
Great meeting you as well, Waleed. Take care.